According to the Voting Rights Act, election offices are required to translate voting materials into different languages, depending on the population of those speakers in the state. For Native communities across the country, the effort to translate is not easy. Cronkite News reporter Alexia Stanbridge spoke with Indigenous people across Arizona about the translation efforts and what it means to vote in a first language.
It says
Maxine Wadsworth is a translator for Navajo County elections. Her job is to translate voting information into the Hopi language. Many Indigenous languages were not originally written, so Wadsworth translates election materials orally. Voters can then listen to these audio translations when they vote.
The screen is now on.
Wadsworth spends hours going through each translation.
It makes it very challenging when you're asked to interpret a document which generally has no place in Hopi language.
Rosita Kelly works for the Navajo Elections Administration. She says it's not as simple as a word-for-word translation.
It would take certain, maybe 2 or 3 sentences in Navajo to describe a word.
For instance, in the Hopi language, there aren't single terms for certain government roles.
The governor is Itatitskwai Arizona Sis Overmungwe, who's the leader of the state.
Of all the Native communities here in Arizona, Hopi Nation is one of the few that get their state ballots translated into their native language.
3 of the 22 Native American nations in Arizona have an option to vote in their native language. Verlin Jose, a member of the Tohono O'odham Nation, says he remembers a time when they used to offer oral translation of election information.
They were burnt to CDs and they were given out and placed at public locations so people could pick one up and take it home and play it for grandpa or grandma, whatever.
The translations are no longer offered. Jose says it's unfortunate because he believes community members understand their native language better.
Mainly the elders, mainly the people that live in communities that are remote who are still very fluent, and it's what they speak every day.
And while Jose believes elders would benefit the most, he thinks translations would help voter turnout overall.
Because people will more understand what is actually on the ballot.
In Hopi Nation, the election turnout for the general election was fairly low.
The Hopi Tribal Registrar Karen Shupla says they have better turnout for tribal elections, which are not translated, but have much simpler ballots with only candidate names. State and general elections include propositions, which can be confusing in any language.
What does this proposition mean? What does tax mean? What does, different, whatever the propositions are.
The goal, making it easier for everyone to participate in the electoral process. In any language. Alexia Stanbridge, Cronkite News.
Election officials also tell us that they help voters in person at the polls by speaking in their Indigenous language.